Hey there, home chefs. Everyone always raves about their mum's cooking, don't they? How is it that nothing ever compares to that special food your mum makes? For me, it was my mum's apple pie. She made everything delicious, but this was the creme de la creme for me. I had my mum over to visit last week, and I persuaded her to let me in on her secret recipe to making this incredible apple pie. And I managed to grab the tips and tricks on the way so that all you home chefs out there can reach that elusive mum gold standard. Let's make this. Before we start, let's get one thing clear. You may think you know apple pie, but this is no ordinary pie. I'm not talking those boring, round, dry apple pies with way too much overbaked, oversweet apples piled on top. Okay, that sounds a bit harsh, but there's no way I'm biased, right? This is a proper German apple pie that my mum learned from her mother growing up in Dusseldorf, and it nails what a pie should be thanks to those special mum adjustments. The first of which is choosing your apple. We're looking for fresh and very tart. Sweet apples release too much juice and unbalance the overall pie. So I'd say get about 2 kilograms worth of apples. We won't necessarily use all of them, but you don't want to be too short. And any spare we can make into a delicious apple sauce. This step takes the longest, so you want to get this out of the way first. Peel the apples, quarter them and decore them. And then, another trick, is to slice across the quarter. This is not only aesthetically a nice shape, but it also is the perfect size so the apple is soft with just a little bit of bite when the pie finishes baking. Once you've sliced all your apples, toss them in a little lemon juice if you want to prevent any browning, but as it's all going in the oven, that's really optional. Then set aside while we start the dough. To make our dough, grab a big mixing bowl and start with 750 grams of all-purpose flour and about 12 grams of baking soda. Add just a pinch of salt and then drop in 375 grams of softened, unsalted butter. It needs to be soft, otherwise we'll make the wrong kind of dough. And then add in 375 grams of caster sugar as well. The ratio is 2 parts flour to 1 part butter and 1 part sugar if you want to make a different amount. Then crack in 4 whole eggs, and another secret is adding in some vanilla sugar. This pastry really benefits from the vanilla running through it, and this sugar gives it the best blend. I'll be sure to leave a link to these handy packets in the description. Once that's all in, start mixing everything by hand. This pastry doesn't rely on heavy work and is really easy to manipulate, so no machines are necessary, and it's very forgiving if something is not quite right. Don't worry if it feels too wet and sticky, just chuck on a bit more flour, especially to help get it off your hands. Once it starts to just come together, we're actually going to finish mixing it on a flat surface, so tip out the dough onto a floured surface and then start kneading for just a couple of minutes. Folding from the top and then really pressing through to work the gluten a little. Doesn't need much, just knead until it looks together, and it should be a nice smooth shiny dough which is ready to roll. See? Isn't that cute? Now, the real secret to this apple pie is using a baking tray. Those deep circular pans don't work as well. The tray lets you spread everything out much more even layers, and the heat also has far better access to the whole pie. We need to butter the tray, and here comes mum tip number 4. Remember the butter we used before? If you keep the wrapper it comes in, it's actually a perfect tool for spreading the butter onto the tray. So don't throw it away, add a touch more butter to the inside, and you can use your hand to get everything nice and buttery. Then we can use this butter layer to spread the fine breadcrumbs over an even layer. This makes sure the pie crust doesn't stick to the tray, as well as giving a really nice texture to the edges and bottom. Once that's ready, let's get our dough. We're going to need a bit for the top of the pie, so cut off about a third to use for later. And then with the rest, get everything nice and floured up on the surface, so we can roll it out. We only need to roll it out a bit, as we are mostly going to press this into shape on the tray. How great is that? No worrying about it over-rolling and getting stuck to the surface because you have to turn it over and over again. It's a foolproof dough. We'll just get it onto the rolling pin so we can lay it out on the
Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
That's okay, it's okay, you're okay. Don't tell mum, we can fix it. Oh boy. Okay, forget the rolling pin. Just get it onto the tray and we can just press it out. Because of the breadcrumb layer and the stickiness of the dough, it's really easy to piece back together and then shape as you want. So use your hands to get it flat across the tray, and then remember to really press up the edges so we get a nice crust. Phew, saved it. Now, remember our apples? Drop a generous amount onto the tray and then spread them out evenly. We want lots of apples. The bottom will rise, so you want it to just about go over the top of the tray's height. Then, save any leftover apples, which you can then heat up with some lemon juice, cinnamon, and a splash of water for some delicious applesauce. You can thank me later. Sprinkle on top of that a couple of handfuls of sugar, bringing a little sweetness, and it draws out the juice a little as well. Followed by a few handfuls of cinnamon. Oh, I love cinnamon, so I use a lot of it, but it's up to you how much you want to add. Then we are ready for the top pastry layer. I am no longer trusted with the dough, understandable, so my mum has taken over. She's rolling it out a bit thinner and then cutting, wow, just perfect 2-inch wide strips by hand to lay on top. I get it, Mum, you're the master of apple pies. Then lay the strips diagonally across both ways to get that beautiful lattice type top, and be sure to cut the strips to size with the leftover pieces being used to spread about the side. Now for the final mom tip, sprinkle a bit of sugar directly onto the lattice top as well. This becomes a crunchy, sweet extra to your bite that is just heavenly. Takes it to a whole new level. And of course a touch of cinnamon too. Yummy. And there is our stunning apple pie, all built and ready to go in the oven. Place that in the middle shelf of the oven at 180 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes, and then turn off the oven and leave for another 10 to 15 minutes before taking out and admiring this thing of beauty. Bonus is your house is now going to smell like actual apple heaven for a while, so enjoy that too. Cut yourself a slice while it's warm because this is home food at its finest. Mum's apple pie has definitely delivered. Extra tip for you guys, this was my first time making it and I used a bit too much dough on the bottom. You can see how much it rises, so be sure to press or roll your dough out a bit thinner so it's a more balanced layer. But the top more than makes up for that. This lovely biscuity top and the wonderful soft apples underneath. Right, let's get this plated up. We start naturally with a very restrained dollop of lightly whipped cream, then take a second to admire, and then crown it with a playful scoop of vanilla ice cream. Boom, Mum's apple pie, German style. Trust me, it's like no apple pie you've had before. Secret lies with Mum's tips. Use tart apples, perfect size apple slices, vanilla sugar, use the butter wrapping, and sugar the top. With these, your home chef level just went up a notch, and you've reached Mum standard. Delicious. Be sure to give this a go, and let me know how it turns out. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, get cooking, and may the Zen be with you.